All right, welcome back, Algebra 2 Copper Canyon. So I have one more example to show you from the 9.6 lesson. This one's a little different, but it still has to do with transformations. I just thought I'd show you one since I did see some of them on your assignment. So this one is asking you to create or make your own trig function based on the description that they're giving you. It's kind of working backwards. So now they're telling you what kind of transformation it has, but they want you to write the equation or the function for it. Okay, so let's take a quick look, read, and then we'll do some highlighting and stuff like that. All right, so create a sine function. They're already telling you it's got to be a sine function. So create a sine function with an amplitude of 5, a period of 12 pi, and a horizontal shift of pi over 2 units. And it's going to the right pi over 2 units, okay? So this is the information that they're giving you. And so now you're taking that information and you're making your own trig function. So once again, color coding I think is very helpful. So right away we see that they give us an amplitude. So amplitude, I was highlighting that in red. I'm gonna stick with that. So I know where this part specifically is going to go. That's gonna be kind of towards the beginning. They're telling me I have a period of 12 pi. Now remember, I know here we don't really have period, but remember, b, the b value here really does have to do with your period. It's not really your period, but it has to do with your period. So even though that's not there, we're gonna highlight this in blue because this is going to have to deal with that particular section of your model. All right, and then the last thing here they tell us is it has a horizontal shift. Horizontal shift, and they use the key word here, right. So when we went back to this, you know, that has to do with our green portion here, horizontal shift, it moves it left or right. So I'm gonna go ahead and highlight this in green. So technically we're dealing with 3 transformations here, okay? So I'm gonna start it off by just writing down the trig function. So it is a sine function. So let me get my black marker here. And so I'm a builder, so I like to start off with what do I know for sure? I know for sure that this is going to have sine on it because they told me to build a sine function, right? So there's sine, but let's go ahead and start building it. So we got the sine part, but let's think about what should go in front. So in front we should have any reflections. They didn't say anything about reflections here, so we don't have to worry about the negative, but they did say amplitude. So the first thing I gotta throw in here is the 5. 5 goes at the very front of the sine function. And if I wanted to, I could actually add my y, not that it's a necessary part, but always kind of nice to have it. So this is gonna start off with y equals 5 sine, all right? And then after that, I have my b value. Now, that has to do with this blue part here, but notice that it is not, they didn't say the b value was 12 pi. So you can't just slap a 12 pi in there. That would not be right. Okay, so what we're going to have to do here is we're going to have to come over to these formulas here and use one of the two. That's why it's very important to read your problem and say, what are they giving me? If they were giving you the b value, the frequency, then you could just pop it in there. But they're not. They're telling us that the period is 12 pi. And so if we want to know what the b value is, we're actually going to have to use this formula right here. To find the b, we got to do 2 pi, which is the normal period, and we got to divide it by the period that they're giving us. So here's where the calculation, slight calculation comes in. So here we go. So b is 2 pi over your period. Okay, that's the formula that I'm just pulling down from there. And all we got to do is plug 12 pi in where it says period. So here we go. So 2 pi over 12 pi. Now, again, you could use Desmos or something, but really you shouldn't have to here. First of all, look, you have pi over pi. So if you have pi over pi, your pi's are going to cross off. So this is not going to have any kind of pi units on it. This is just going to have a reduced fraction. 2 over 12 reduces to 1/6. So this is going to have 1/6. So this is your actual b value right there. Okay, so that's what's actually going to go inside our formula is 1/6. That's the frequency. Okay, so 1/6. So right here, and we're going to go and put a set of parentheses. You'll notice that on these ones, you should have 2 sets of parentheses when you have a lot of stuff here. So this is going to be 1/6 here. All right, and then we have our inside part. So that takes care of our b value. Now we're going to do the inside part, the part that has the, I call it the hamburger, right? That part. So we're going to go and do that part. Let me go and get it settled here. Parenthesis x, and then I'm going to stop. So I need to decide if, based on what they're telling me here, is this going to be a plus or a minus? So watch out here. They say it's going to the right. So if it's going to the right, look at what we wrote here. It has to have a negative value here. So even though when they wrote this out, it does not say negative, they're telling me it's going to the right. So that has to come out. I have to write the opposite in there. So I'm not going to write plus pi over 2. I'm going to write negative pi over 2 inside here. And then technically we should have another close off here. So. And there you go. We just built our function. 3 transformations. Notice the 3 colors. Here's our amplitude. Here's our B value, which is our frequency. It basically controls our period. How long is our period length? And then here, our horizontal shift. How much did it move left or right? And that's it. So we built it. All right. On the last video, I'm going to show you guys how to do some matching on Desmos. There's a lot of graph matching in here, but really easy if you're using Desmos. So that's going to be on the next example, and I'll see you guys soon.